Can Nintendo replicate the success of the Switch, or is it gonna be a Wii U 2? Everybody knows Nintendo. They are essentially the Disney of video games. Families love to buy their consoles, and they've sold really well, for the most part. The Nintendo Switch has sold 141 million units worldwide. That is a crazy number. There are a lot of reasons why the Switch has made it this far, and with the new console generation coming up, can Nintendo really replicate their success? The big question is, what did Nintendo do right with the Switch? The Switch launched in 2017, and it launched alongside Breath of the Wild, one of the best games ever released. Similar to how the Nintendo 64 launched with Super Mario 64, Nintendo came out of the gate with a hitter of a game. As the years went on, they released more and more incredible games like Mario Odyssey, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and some of the Pokemon games. And what really worked for Nintendo during this time is that they were all releasing on the same console. They didn't have to do what they did in the past where they split their player base between handheld and home console. It all came together and released on one standalone system. During this time, Nintendo was not shy about releasing new games. They brought back games that had been long forgotten, like the 2D Metroid series with Metroid Dread, and they brought ports of old games that from the Wii U that did not sell as well as you might think. One of the best-selling games on the Switch is a better version of a Wii U game, Mario Kart 8. They also brought back ports of GameCube games like Paper Mario that just released. The Switch's library has been growing and growing with first-party AAA and AA games to keep the players invested. So how are they going to go from king of the castle to starting over? There's some things that they need to make sure they do. New consoles are extremely hard to sell. People already own a Switch, so getting them to transition from a Switch to a Switch 2 is going to be a big upsell, especially if they're not using their Switch as much as they used to. So how can Nintendo get these people to hop onto their new console? They need to look back a few years and realize that their transition from the Wii to the Wii U has taught them an enormous amount about switching generations. While I love my Wii U, most people didn't, and most people couldn't justify upgrading from a Wii to a Wii U. There just wasn't enough that sold them. The gamepad wasn't a big enough change. It's like a weird middle evolution Pokemon, where it's not quite mobile like the Switch, but it's not quite as home console as the Wii. Being a hybrid console is incredible. Nintendo needs to stick to their new bread and butter. Don't bring back the Game Boy, as much as I would love that. Stick to the one console. Don't separate your player base. The main thing that Nintendo needs to focus on is getting better hardware. Rumors are saying that the new Nintendo console will have hardware that is on par with the PS4 and the Xbox One. And to me, that's great, but is it big enough to sell others? I upgraded from my original Switch to the OLED because I wanted LAN support for Smash Bros. And I wanted to just have the best version of my favorite console. But most people aren't going to do that. And Nintendo needs to realize that if they can't bring something to the table that is as good as, say, the Steam Deck, then they are going to struggle this console generation. Another thing that's been happening recently with console transitions is that you need to be able to keep your digital library. Nobody wants to have to buy the same game on every single console. Cough, cough, Skyrim. Allow people to transition all of their content from the Switch to the Switch 2 to make it so people don't feel like they're losing out on all of their old stuff. The PlayStation did that perfectly this upgraded generation. You can still play your PS4 games on your PS5, and for a lot of them, if you wanted an upgraded version, it was only a $10 upcharge. I have faith that Nintendo will be able to blow this console generation out of the water if they can really stick to their roots with the Switch and make sure what they are doing sticks in the long run. What do you guys think Nintendo needs to do to make sure the Switch 2 is a success? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.